Welcome to Life Planning 101, brought to you by Smart Money Group and Kennedy Financial Services in Eastland, Texas. Tune in every week as we share important information to help you and your family live life on purpose. Insurance, investments, legacy and tax planning, and much more. All covered now on Life Planning 101.
Welcome into Life Planning 101. It is January, and how do you live your best life? We're a life planning firm helping people live life on purpose. And I had the opportunity to do quite a bit of CE over the last several weeks. And within that CE course, I actually did some pretty fascinating stuff. And we're going to be actually talking about it over the next few weeks on the show. And it really, I think, creates another level of depth into helping people live life on purpose. And today is really the first step in that direction because, you get to thinking about it. You go through the motions of life. You go through the have tos. You go through the need tos. And you go through the want tos. But do you ever really stop to figure out why you're doing all the things that you're doing? And is it really moving you in the overall direction that you want to be headed? Or do you even really know? I know a lot of people that have been through the life planning process can say, yes, we are headed in the direction we want to. We want to live life on purpose. This is what that means to us. And this is the plan that we've built out that we're working on. It's progress. It's not perfection, but we're working on to be able to get to those things that are really important to us or to keep doing those things that are really, really important to us. I find a lot of people, they get to a certain stage of life and they feel very grateful. The older people are, the more grateful they are. And that's just as a overall statistic. I'm not saying everybody's that way, but that really seems to be a mode. And I think that gratitude's found in some level of just knowing that you are somewhat living that best life, or knowing that you are just treasuring the moments that you have here on this earth. And then, there's other people in this life, I think, that just are, and really, it's not other people. It's all of us. All of us go through, kind of like a roller coaster, ups and downs, where sometimes there's seasons of our life that things just feel like they're chaotic and we're being pulled in 8 million different directions. And so, we think about, we go to our accountant, they tell us to do this. We go to our banker, they tell us to do this. We go to our insurance agent, they tell us to do this. We go to our financial advisor, they tell us to do this. And is that all working together? Is it all being pulled together for your best life? How do you even know, right? And that's what we work on from a financial aspect. But I want to go deeper than that today because I don't think you can live your best life until you've really figured out what that means to you. If I ask you, how do you live your best life? I mean, obviously, that is a loaded question, and it's meant to be. You might start thinking immediately of the people that you treasure or the things that you love to do. My gosh, I've got to do some skiing over the last several weeks with my kids. I cannot keep up with my 12-year-old, and I wouldn't trade out those moments for anything in the world. Our 8-year-old is getting going, and to turn around and see the smile on his face and hoping I don't wreck because I'm just so excited to watch him. I wouldn't trade that for anything in the world, right? The places that you want to see, your bucket list, the memories that you want to make. I know so many people are just waiting for the day that they get to put their hands on their grandchildren. We have a few of those friends, right? I'm far from that. Right now, I'm looking forward to that empty nesting phase. But that's just, bygones be bygones, I digress. There's nothing wrong with that little mental wondering when you consider that question, how do you live your best life? But you really haven't answered the question. Because those thoughts reflect the things that would define your best life. They would be a component of your best life, so to speak, but it's not necessarily how you do it. How do you do it? How do you live your best life? And I would say there's really 3 things that you need to do it. First of all, you need clarity. All right? Clarity begins with something a little bit deeper than these random thoughts that we've been talking about. I mean, yeah, it's fun to dream. It's fun to think about all the things that you love to do. If you could have your perfect day, what would that look like, right? That's awesome. Mine would start with definitely on a cool porch with a blanket and a rocking chair with my cup of coffee, looking at the mountains somewhere. For sure. It is fun to dream that way, but that's not really clarity. And even well thought out goals. We talk all the time about goals on this show. We talk about SMART goals, specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, time measured goals. And those are very important. But again, I don't think that gives enough clarity into how to build your best life, because really that goes back to all those things that you kind of want to do, places you want to see, things around the things you want to accomplish in life, the success, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. No, clarity goes deeper than this. So the first thing you need is to begin with your core values. Clarity is knowing your core values. Now, I know you're sitting there thinking, well, I have core values. I have things that are extremely important to me, and I don't falter or don't waver in these areas. And you know what? I will tell you this. We are some of the most blessed people in the world, because I get to wake up every single day and work for hardworking families with incredible, deep-rooted values. And I love that. But I'm going to challenge you. Can you name your top 3 values right now? And I'm going to bet that you can't. Maybe you can name your priorities, but are they really your core values? Really, have you drilled down into those top 3 core values in your life? Have you written them down? Do you know them in your heart? Do you use them day in and day out to make your life decisions, to make every single decision, even when it comes to your financial plan, even when it comes to making a financial decision about the next car you're going to buy? Huh? Yeah, I'm betting you don't. I'm betting you're sitting here with a little chuckle, if you're being honest with yourself, right? Hey, I'm guilty. As I was going through this process, I was like, heck, we don't even have this. This is good stuff. This is really good stuff. To live your best life, the first place you got to start with clarity and knowing those core values, because they should be the foundation for every single decision that you make going forward. Shouldn't they? I was listening to an incredible devotion this morning, and it was just on having peace and, not knowing what the future holds and being okay with that. And it talks about, it was talking about, well, if you're not okay with that, we all have these anxieties and we all have these stressors and we always tend to worry, then you go to the Word. You go to the Word. You go to the root. You go to the core. That's where you go back to. That's what gives you peace. Well, it's no different when you're making a life decision. If you knew those top 3 core values by heart, any decision that you have should be pretty easy if you are looking to those. So they should serve as that foundation for your entire life. Instead of living on a whim, going through the motions, or simply, and this happens a lot, well, I'm just going to do that because that's what you do at this age. Because that's what the world tells me to do. That's just what I should do. Your core values should be firmly the driver's seat. None of that stuff. None of what other people think, or going through the motions, or living on a whim, or doing what, the guy does over the fence, right? Frank. We always talk about Frank. And I'm sorry, Frank. We pick on Frank a lot. But Frank over the fence is always having these little things to put in your ears. And, well, should I be doing what Frank does? No, clarity begins today. It begins with knowing those core values. And if it's important to you, I've got 4 questions for you. Technically, it's more like 6. But I want you to get in the depth of these. And you need to do this on your time. Here it is, the New Year's. This should be your first your first challenge is to find some quiet time and to really think through this and go through these questions. And if you need to refer back, we've got them out on our blog, www.kennedy-financial.com. Sign up for our weekly life lessons while you're there. You should always be doing that. Great information on how to live life on purpose each and every week. But clarity begins with this. Number 1, what is important to you? Number 2, how do you define success? Number 3, if this were your last hour on this earth and you're looking back at your life, what do you not want to regret? If this were your last hour on this earth, what would your life well lived have looked like when you're looking back? What were your most cherished moments? And number 4, how do you want to be remembered? You need to do the exercise. You need to know your core values. And if you put some real big thought into these questions, what's going to happen is those core values are going to scream. They're going to be loud and they're going to be clear. And then you got to challenge, because then you got to narrow that list down to 3 to 5 at most. And the reason I say that is because you need to memorize these. You need to keep them in front and center and know them by heart. And here's the second thing on how to start to live your best life. You're going to communicate them. Okay? So you got clarity. Now you have to communicate. Your family needs to know what values are guiding your decisions. Now, if you're married, you should really go through this exercise together. So that quiet time, maybe that turns into a glass of wine or a glass of coffee on the porch. I don't know. But you need to settle on those core values as a couple. I know this. I don't like a side seat driver, and neither does my husband. So it's not good. You have to share that in common, especially if you're making every life decision together. And you're going to have to agree to disagree, but you're going to have to settle. Because I guarantee there's a reason that you're married, so you do have the same top 3 core values. There's no doubt about it. Now, you might have different priorities, but those core values are solid. And your children, your grandchildren, they need to know them. Just imagine this. You might not need to say no. You might need to say, well, son, you know our core values. What do you think? Does that fit in line with those? Well, daughter, I'd love to help you out, but man, if I do that wrecks my core values, and you know those core values. And if you did that, what kind of legacy of wisdom would you be leaving behind? Would they be doing the same thing? Would they be living their life the same thing? Imagine you had started out at 20 years old with this. What would that have looked like different in your life? Yeah. So, clarity. Then you communicate. Then last, but certainly not least, you have to commit. Without commitment, all this hard work goes out the window. I could provide you statistic after statistic of goals that are never met. Even SMART goals or New Year's resolutions that fall apart by mid-January. And I think the reason that they do is because none of them have real roots. They don't get to what we've just talked about. There's no foundation. There's no heart behind a lot of them. So you have to commit to yourself to define, and not only define, but live by those core values. Make everything around those core values. And start that today. Carpe diem. Seize the day. Here we are. Life Planning 101. It is a new year. And how do you live your best life? Well, it starts with your core values. God bless you, and we look forward to you joining us next week right here on Life Planning 101, where we are going to go deep on how to live that best life. You're not going to want to miss it here next week.
Thank you for joining us for Life Planning 101, brought to you by Smart Money Group and Kennedy Financial Services. If you have questions, you can email them to lifeplanning@kennedy-financial.com. Don't forget to learn how our sister company can assist you with all of your tax and consulting needs. You can find out more at briscoeandassociates.com. Be sure to tune in next week for more Life Planning 101. The opinions expressed herein are those of the firm and are subject to change without notice. The opinions referenced are as of the date of publication and are subject to change due to changes in the market or economic conditions and may not necessarily come to pass. Any opinions, projections, or forward-looking statements expressed herein are solely those of the author, may differ from the views or opinions expressed by other areas of the firm, and are only for general informational purposes as of the date indicated. Securities offered through Calton & Associates Incorporated, a registered investment advisor, member FINRA SIPC. Investment advisory services offered through Smart Money Group LLC. Kennedy Financial Services and Smart Money Group LLC are separate entities and are not owned or controlled by Calton & Associates Incorporated.